It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Kevin McIntosh, with another day, another opportunity to talk to the community. Starting off with weekend fun, keeping the rain away in Keego Harbor at the final block party of the summer on Friday. Now, unfortunately, we had a cancellation from one of the food vendors, but that brought out the best in the community as Jet's Pizza stepped up to the rescue to provide us all with some great treats for the event. Sunny times with great people actually bring out a sunny mood, and that is what Keego Harbor is all about. If you're watching on CivicCenterTV.com, you can see some of the photos, but you can check them out for yourself directly on their Facebook at KH Parks on Facebook for more information. But the weather did not keep away for too long, ultimately canceled a weekend event in the heart of the lakes. There was no movement in the park with Laurel from EM2M over the weekend, but that's okay. The fun is still continuing as they did make up a date that will happen in less than a week. Sunday, August 25th is the new date for movement in the park with Laurel from EM2M Fitness. That'll be this Sunday, the 25th at 10:30 a.m. Same place, same time, but hopefully it'll be a lot more sunny with some sunshine there. So please get ready for that. Like I said, we're just keeping you updated as that has been rescheduled. Find out more about that on their Facebook, of course, KH Parks on Facebook. Now, some history could be made in the skies tonight, specifically in our community and beyond. A rare blue supermoon is expected to be seen tonight. It happens as the moon actually gets to its closest point on the Earth. And with that being said, in its elliptical orbit, it actually appears to be 14% bigger and over 30% brighter. It almost seemed like you can touch the moon. It's right there. And because it's the second full moon of the month, that makes it a blue moon. Very interesting point right there. It may not be as significant in certain areas around our community if there's a lot of light around, housing lights, street lights, and things of that nature. But if you are in the right spot, you will get a good shot of that. So if you do have a perfect view of that blue moon, tag us on social media after you take that photo. We're on Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, and we are on Instagram and X, the application formerly known as Twitter. Also, Civic Center TV 15. To make things easier for you, if you're watching on Civic Center TV, use your smartphone to scan that QR code. It'll take you directly to all of our social media pages as well. Speaking of outer space, there will be even more chances to explore outer space this week in Greater West Bloomfield. Astronomy in the Park. It's an event that will be happening August 23rd. A collaboration between Keego Harbor Parks and Rec and the Oakland Astronomy Club, taking place, like we say, next Friday, Rose Sorter Park, 8:30 to 11:30 p.m. Like we said, great time for you to check out the stars. And actually here to tell us a little bit more about this incredible event, give out more details, and sound a little bit more smart. We have President of the Oakland Astronomy Club, Gary Dietz, as well as Chairperson for the Keego Harbor Parks and Recreation Committee, Kirsten Sonneville Douglas. Thank you both for being here first and foremost.
Yes.
Getting straight to it, I have always been fascinated by stars. So I want to break down from your both different perspectives about this event. First and foremost, starting with you, Gary, why is it beneficial for the Oakland Astronomy Club to partner with Keego Harbor Parks and Rec for this event?
Well, I think it's great to just promote STEM and astronomy for the public and just to help them to learn a little bit more about the night sky and some of the objects that we pretty much take for granted most of the time when we're looking up at the sky.
Yes, yes, I can agree with that. There's a lot more to the science and the aesthetics of what we're looking at when we look outside. And for you, Kirsten, basically the same thing from a Keego Harbor Parks and Rec perspective. Why is it important for you all to collaborate with the Oakland Astronomy Club?
It was part of the Keego Connect project that I wanted to bring to Parks and Rec in Kego Harbor, right? Connecting our community, activating our parks. I met the club at another event, and my son is a enthusiast. So when I got the newsletter, I was like, this is one that we need to partner with, and I'm so thankful that they are coming to our parks.
Nice, nice. So like I said, I've always been fascinated with stars, just looking. I even had a telescope when I was younger. Don't think I used it correctly. Don't even know what if I was looking at. But for you, Gary, can you share some insights on the celestial objects that we could possibly see during this event?
Absolutely. We'll probably start the evening out, if we're lucky. Sunsets around 8:45 that evening, but we may get a little bit of an opportunity to look at the sun, even with a solar filter on one of our telescopes. And then after that, a little bit later in the evening as it gets dark, we plan on looking at the typical 6 objects that we like to look at and show to our groups, which are constellations, planets, galaxies, nebula, star clusters, and double stars. And so we're hoping that we're going to have clear enough skies that we can get a look at least one of all of those different kinds of objects in the sky.
Sheesh. Wow, that was, I was just expecting stars. You really went there, Gary. Okay. Join us right here live on The Splash. President of the Oakland Astronomy Club, the expert like we have him, Gary Dietz, as well as chairperson for Kego Harbor Parks and Rec, Kirsten Sonneville Douglas. So for you, Kirsten, kind of putting this event together, can you just talk about any challenges that you may have overcome with organizing an event like this to get the community together, especially during the times outside at night with possible weather conditions?
Weather is going to be the big one, and I have no control over that one.
Correct.
So that one we're just not going to talk about.
Right.
But light pollution, right? We are in an urban area, or not urban area, we're in the suburbs.
Right.
So light pollution is huge. And so I know that Gary and one of our other commissioners, Jackie, walked some of the parks to see if it was dark enough for us to be able to see that. And then parking, we are a small little city. We have so many parks, but parking is always an issue.
That's a great point, as a matter of fact. And as a matter of fact, Gary, I want you to piggyback off of that too. Can you just talk about the difference that it makes with the location that you try to look at the stars? A lot of people think you can just look up and see the stars and they'll look the same anywhere. But can you just talk about the difference that the location makes?
Absolutely. I mean, typically the best locations are, like, I am actually up north right now near Sleeping Bear Dunes, and it's darker skies up here. There's fewer big cities with lots of lights, and it gets even better when you're maybe in the southwestern United States, Arizona, New Mexico, Southern California.
Really?
Again, you have dry skies, so there's not a lot of moisture in it, as well as the fact that there's not a lot of city lights. And so you won't be able to see some of the fainter objects in the sky, some of these deep sky objects that we hope to see on the 23rd when we're in Kego Harbor. You just can't see some of those when you have too much light pollution, which you get in the cities. Our observatory for our club is actually in Addison Oaks County Park, which is about 10 miles north of Rochester, and in a little bit darker area. So you have a little bit better conditions there than you would in the city. So.
Yeah, I've noticed that also. When I look at the sky, when I'm at home in the city area, as opposed to when I go to like my grandma's home, who stays in the country, it looks more vivid. It's like the stars and space in 4K. So I'm glad you actually made sense of that also. Know we're running low on time, so we want to thank both of you all for being here. Kirsten, just lastly, more information in regards to this specific event and how people can become part of it.
They can check out the city website at kegoharbor.org, or check out our Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/KH Parks.
Perfect. At KH Parks on Facebook for more information. We want to thank you both again for being here, giving us your expertise and information. Once again, Gary Dietz, president of the Oakland Astronomy Club, as well as Kirsten Sonneville Douglas, chairperson, Kego Harbor Parks and Rec. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And great information just talking about the stars and the moon and things of that. But like we said before, we are expecting a super rare blue moon tonight. So if you get a chance to look up in the sky and you get the perfect view of it, make sure you take a photo of it. Tag Keego Harbor Parks and Recreation on their Facebook, KH Parks, and do us a favor also, tag us. You might as well do that for us. Civic Center TV 15 on Facebook, Civic Center TV on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, or you can just use your smartphone, scan the QR code on your screen on Civic Center TV. It'll take you directly there. Speaking of stars, right here in our area, West Bloomfield alum and superstar in the National Football League is actually making some moves. The Atlanta Falcons acquire edge rusher and West Bloomfield High School alum Matthew Judon from the New England Patriots in exchange for a 2025 third-round pick. The team announced this on Thursday, by the way. Judon has been in the NFL since 2016, playing 5 seasons with the Baltimore Ravens and 3 with the New England Patriots. He's also the only West Bloomfield Laker to have his number retired in the West Bloomfield. Number 99 hanging up in the rafters by the scoreboard at the Swamp. Don't forget that. Laker football coverage begins here next week, by the way, Thursday, August 29th. This season officially kicks off against Chippewa Valley. Pre-game coverage around 6:30 starts right here on Civic Center TV. Kickoff at 7 on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM per usual. So we'll have all your coverage from beginning of the game, during the game, and after the game right here on CivicCenterTV.com as well. Everything that you need in one spot. Since we are talking about school, we might as well start talking about the transition into the school year. Yes, it is time to get ready to go back to school. And before we head back next week, it's good to get some advice from some local educational experts. So with us live right here on The Splash, we are being joined by Colette Gostencourt, Sarah McDowell, and Chanley Patricus. Thank you so much for joining us all today.
Thank you for having us. It's an honor.
I listen to the podcast. I have 1,000 questions right here, but I know we only have so much time. So let's just get into it. Starting with you, Colette, if you don't mind. You mentioned filling out these important forms to kind of start the school year off. Let's get into that. How can parents avoid some of these common mistakes to make a smooth transition into the school year?
Talk to their department, talk to their school, go online, wbsd.org. It's a wonderful, wonderful site, wonderful resources. Or email for preschool, we have wbpa.org at WBSD, right?
WBPA at WBSU.org.
Yeah.
Got you. One central place for a lot of the resources, like you were talking about, a lot of different health forms and important forms just to start off the school year. So go there, find out the resources, what you need, get those filled out as soon as possible. Moving on to you, Sarah, what are some of the key benefits that people should be aware of not only attending the school's open house, but how it sets a tone for a successful school year?
Absolutely. So we have a lot of different programs, especially our GSRP program. We want to make those connections with our families at the beginning of the year, right? It's only going to benefit your child on their first day with that transition coming in. It's hard for a 3 or 4-year-old to come in and leave their parents for the first time. So we want to make sure that they feel comfortable and confident coming to somebody that, they feel that they can trust. So coming to that open house, that meet and greet is so beneficial for them. Exploring the building, learning about our program, especially the parents. We want them to know about our curriculum as well. And we want to know what their child's going to be learning, right? So just making those connections and making it easier for the families and the children.
Great information. And let me just say this, as a parent of a small child, 2 going on 3 years old, we are starting to see the pandemic babies actually become in that, so you see what I'm talking about. They're going into that school year, entering school early education. So we're talking about an entirely different breed of interaction, social engagement, things of that nature. With you, Chanley, just asking you, what are some of your top tips for parents to ensure that their child is ready and excited for the first day of school?
So one of my biggest tips is take your kid to the store. Let them pick out these materials. I just went with my daughter the other day. She picked out a horsey backpack and she can't take it off. Let them be involved with it. Talk about it. Go to the school, peek in those windows, be involved with the teachers, email them, send them pictures of what you did over the summer, send them pictures of what your kid loves, because you are your child's first teacher. We don't know much about them. We're meeting them for the first time. We need you to help us get to know them and get them into the classroom and get them excited. But when there's older siblings involved, that's really helpful too, because they see their older siblings go off before them, because West Bloomfield Preschool Academy, we start September 9th. So the rest of the district starts a little sooner.
Okay.
So they get to see their older siblings go to school and they're like, I want to go. So just talking about that transition and talking about how one day it was hard for them to once go to school for the first time, and now you're doing it.
Yeah.
So
good point. I love the podcast, by the way. Like I said, somebody who has a very young child who will be going to school soon, I'm just listening to it like, that makes so much sense. But joining us right here on the Splash Live, we have early childhood educators from West Bloomfield School District, Colette Gostin-Kors, early childhood accounting administrative assistant Sarah McDowell, coordinator for early childhood and school-age child care, and Chanley Patricus, GSRP lead teacher. Now, getting to you, Colette, how do you feel like your role contributes to easing parents' stress during this busy time of year?
I just talk to them. I'm lucky I have that life experience and I'm a little older. So it comes natural because I love my families. We love our families.
Yeah.
I meant it when I said we want to be part of your village. So I don't know about easing, just wherever they want their child to be is where we want their child to be. It's not about WBPA, whoop, whoop, but it is about the child. And that will always be the case.
Get it. And thank you for that. One of the things that you said that I want to talk about real quick is you mentioned the sleep that they should get at certain ages and how they should get, I think you said 13 or 14 with certain age groups. Can you break that down again for us? Because that was very mind-blowing for me.
Yeah, 13 to 14 hours, including naps for infant to preschool. And then middle school, I believe, was 6 to 9. And then high school was maybe 6 to 8. And it is really important. Mainly, let's put it out there, our middle and high schoolers don't sleep like they should. And I'm very proud of West Bloomfield School District. A couple years back, made this start a little later out of respect for that need.
Interesting. Okay. And like I said, when I listened to that, I was like, well, I have to get my son on that schedule with napping and stuff like that. He'll be up all day and then fall asleep maybe 9, 10, because sometimes until midnight. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta work. But anyway, so Sarah, I want to ask you, Sarah, about these children that we're talking about early education. And like we said, they may be feeling a lot of emotion separating from their parent and going to meet new kids. How does your team support children who may feel anxious or nervous about starting school?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of our, and I can say this with full confidence, that all of our teachers, or most of our teachers, are certified in early childhood education, or they have their degree. So they're very knowledgeable about early childhood, what children need to succeed, and helping with those transitions. So I'm sure, as you know, with early childhood educators, they're very, very loving and warm, and they know how to kind of ease a child into that transition on the first day, or even in the middle of school when they're having maybe a hard day or a hard time. So we use different strategies depending on the child. We go based off the individual child.
Good.
So if that child's having separation anxiety, our teachers know how to handle that. Another thing that we love to do is we do morning message in the morning every morning, and we encourage those kids that might have that separation anxiety to have a job, right? So they can help with the morning message. They can read the morning message with the teacher. Again, it kind of helps them come back in and say, it's okay, like school's fun. I remember school, we had the same daily routine every single day, and just being consistent with it is extremely helpful.
Good, good. I love the fact that you mentioned it's not a one-size-fits-all, one solution for everybody. We need to start understanding that different people handle things differently. So it's good to kind of tailor to that and have people who can actually have the time to actually do that and the effort. I know we're kind of pressed on time. Like I said, I have 1,000 questions here. But just for you, Chanley, for an example, for anyone watching, listening right now who may have a lot of questions about the upcoming school year or, you know, things that's going on with the transition of their child coming to school, how could they get more questions or more information?
Call us. We are more than welcome, willing to help any family member that is struggling with this transition. Colette is so patient when families call and they're anxious. And Sarah and I are going through the same thing this year. We're both sending our babies to West Bloomfield Preschool Academy this year, and we are anxious about it as well. Even being in this role, that's still your baby. We know how it feels. And I think, for Sarah and I, that is a benefit of having children this age is we see what parents are going through. We're going through it at the same time as them. So we completely understand, and we are more than willing to comfort them.
I think that's more important to know, too, that you all have kids around that same age, too. That's very relieving for parents to know that you can actually relate to that. And lastly, before we get out of here, Colette, if you don't mind, the podcast. Just tell us a little bit more about it, how they can access it, and when we can expect new episodes.
We're going to do it monthly. The podcast is designed for families. We want to connect with our families. A school district isn't any good unless they're involved with the families.
Correct.
Again, that village. So you can go to WBSD.org. The podcast is there. Next month, we're going to talk about finding quiet and finding balance as you struggle to get rhythm with school and to give yourself the opportunity to step back and breathe. So we are going to have some counselors on and things like that. It's really exciting. It reflects what Chanley and Sarah want to do.
Right. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. Like I said, I listened to it before, and I was just listening to it again right before we got here. I'm like, this is some very good information for very new parents, especially of these pandemic babies that are coming of age. But thank you all again for your time, for your information. Once again, Colette Gostencourt, Early Childhood Accounting Administrative Assistant, Sarah McDowell, Coordinator for Early Childhood and School-Age Child Care, and Chanley Patricus, GSRP Lead Teacher. Thank you again.
Thank you.
A lot of great information for people like myself, brand new parents who are taking their child to school for the very first time, and just children making that transition going into the school year in general. So find out more information about what they have going on in their podcast. Go to their Facebook, West Bloomfield Schools, or directly to the website for the West Bloomfield School District, WBSD.org, for more information regarding school as we continue to go towards the school year. Now, the Big Tree Hunt. It is a tree hunt going on, a beloved free activity about the hunt to find the biggest trees in the entire state of Michigan. It's open to all ages. Now, what is the exact purpose of this? How can we actually measure the trees? How are we determining that? Those are the questions that we have. That's why join us right here live on The Splash from Relief, Michigan. We have the Project Forester, Lindsay Lights, join us. Thank you so much for being here, Lindsay.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Yes, so we're talking about the biggest tree in Michigan is what we're looking for. Let's just talk about this promotion, I guess, in general. Just explain the significance and the purpose of the Big Tree Hunt.
I would love to. Thank you. The Michigan Big Tree Hunt, hosted by Relief, Michigan, is a hunt to find the biggest trees in the state. We award the trees, which one is the biggest, based on circumference. So if you go up to the tree and give it a big hug, right about there is the measurement that we're looking for. So if your tree is really big that way, it could qualify for our competition and be one of the biggest in the state.
Wow, wow. Okay, so am I understanding that right? We basically want to measure the trees by giving them a big hug and seeing if we can wrap our arms around. Is that how we're measuring them?
Yeah, that would be a great first way to try it out. And then if your arms don't touch, and even better, if two people are hugging it and they can't touch each other's arms, you might have a big one. So we have a couple of tips that you can use to measure it. You can use a soft measuring tape that will go around the entire trunk, or you could use a string, something soft, and then measure around the tree and then lay that string out flat and use a measuring tape to measure that string. Because these trees are really big, and
Correct.
you might be surprised to see that your measuring tape doesn't make it all the way around.
I am curious about something. So I love when my brain gets to going during these interviews. We just recently had like a tree planting event in our local community in Sylvan Lake. And people were out there, like I said, starting with the tree planting process to get them going. Now, they're still in their infant stages, I would like to say. But how long do you think it would take for a tree in the beginning stages to get all the way to what we would consider a big tree?
That's a great question, and it's going to depend on the species of trees. Different ones grow different. So we have something like a willow, a black willow, or a weeping willow. Something like that might get giant in 30 years. They grow extremely fast. That's a little more untypical. We have things like our cottonwoods and our oak trees. Some of the oak trees that have been entered have been estimated to be 250 to 300 years old. So it really depends on the species, but if it's a big one, you should enter it to our competition.
Nice, love that. All right, we're gonna dig a little bit deeper into it, but with us right here live on the Splash from Relief, Michigan, we have Project Forester Lindsay Lights talking about the big tree hunt, the search for the biggest trees in the entire state of Michigan. But we want to actually find the big trees right here in our Greater West Bloomfield area. So with that being said, how do you feel like this big tree hunt is helping to raise awareness about the importance of trees and forests, not only in Michigan, but right here in our local West Bloomfield area?
You got it. So the point is to simply get people outside and looking up at the trees, just taking some time to go outside, to take a deep breath, and to just be in nature, to look up at the trees, to look straight ahead at them. Just get some time out there.
Yes, I love that too. So we are dealing with, I guess you could say, kind of a unique promotion in some way. We don't often hear or, see too many promotions to find the biggest tree and things of that nature. So what strategies are Relief Michigan using to encourage participation across all counties right here in Michigan?
So we are encouraging people, one, using our Facebook page, our Relief Michigan Facebook page. We post a big tree of the week every week, and people love to see the big trees and people with them. So that inspires them to get out, to go out and find a tree, use our website for the entry form. It's bigtreehunt.com. And we also have paper brochures printed off on sustainably certified paper, and those are at libraries, nature center, DNR state parks, all across the state. They're at over 200 locations. So you can go pick up one of those brochures and go out for your tree hunting adventure.
Interesting. Nice, nice. And if I'm not mistaken, just to reset the show, joining us right here again on the Splash from Relief Michigan, Project Forester Lindsay Lights, talking about the big tree hunt here in Michigan. Now, with over 200 entries already this year, if I'm not mistaken, are there any trends or interesting findings you've observed from the trees that's been submitted so far?
Well, one thing that we're noticing is what counties have submitted a big tree and what counties haven't. So like you said, we're over 200 entries right now, and Oakland County only has 5 entries for the whole county. That's not 0 or 1. So you guys are in there, you guys are out there, you guys are starting to find the trees, but we need everybody to go out and help find the biggest and get that number a little higher.
Yes. Okay. Great. Great. So yeah, we're only at 5 in our local Oakland County area, but we're trying to get that even more. So before we let you go, Lindsay, just the final details in regarding this. If anyone's watching, listening, they're interested in participating, just talk about how they can participate and give a deadline also.
You got it. So we're talking about the Michigan Big Tree Hunt. This is the hunt to find the biggest trees in the state. We want to get people outside looking at trees, finding trees that are the biggest by the circumference. So where you go up to the tree and you give it a big hug, that's the measurement we're looking for. You can enter your trees at bigtreehunt.com, BIGTREE hunt.com, bigtreehunt.com. There's also a paper entry form at nature centers, DNR parks, libraries that you can enter. We're accepting nominations till next August.
Okay. Ooh.
Officially August 22nd. So you got some time, but get those trees in there. Maybe you'll see it as the big tree of the week on Facebook.
Yay. Oakland County, West Bloomfield, Silver Lake, Orchard Lake, Kego Harbor. Let's get those entries in so we can find the biggest tree in the entire state of Michigan right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your knowledge and your time. From Relief Michigan Project Forester, Lindsay Lights.
Thanks, everybody. Nice to talk about the trees.
Absolutely, absolutely. A different perspective for us to look at nature. Go outside and appreciate some of these trees. Like we said, even the new trees that we planted out in Sylvan Lake. So find out more about it, bigtreehunt.com, or you can go to Relief Michigan. That's RELEAF Michigan.org. Excuse me, it's .org, by the way, for more information regarding that. Now, as we are continuously learning about things in our local community, there's also educational institutions that are going through actual changes right here in our neighborhood. So with us to talk a little bit more about Oakland Community College changes that are expected for the fall and coming up, we actually have the Chancellor Peter M. Provenzano Jr. Thank you so much for joining us. And can you tell us about the role that OCC is playing in helping relieve student debt?
Good morning, Kevin. Pleasure to be on your show again. I appreciate you having me. This debt relief program that the county has made available to Oakland County residents is really quite phenomenal. What it does is they've fronted the cost to contract with a company that will sit down with Oakland County residents to consult with them, to understand their college debt, to look at ways they may be able to refinance that debt, or there's a lot of debt relief that's out there that's very complicated. And so this consulting firm will help with our residents. And it's really, coupled with the work that OCC is doing, is really going to help move the needle for Oakland County residents, because Oakland Community College, as you know, is focused on helping students with a quality education, and in a way where they do not have to take out all of that debt. There's so much in the way of free community college tuition that's available at OCC. Most recently, the state of Michigan announced that you can go to Oakland Community College for free if you're a recent graduate under the Community College Guarantee. Prior to that, we had a program called Michigan Reconnect for adults to return back to college and receive their community college degree, certificate, credential for free. And this is really helping to move the needle and get the message out that you can receive a very high quality education, and it does not have to be expensive. The majority of our students are coming to us for free, very or little to no debt. So it's really quite exciting to partner with the county on this.
We love to see and know about these types of resources. You already touched on a bunch of different things I want to dive into a little bit more, but I appreciate that more than anything. Another thing I want to kind of get into is a partnership that you all have. Oakland Community College and Oakland University partnering to provide student housing for OCC students at Oakland University starting in the fall. Can you just give a little bit more information on what was the motivation behind this partnership?
We're very excited about this partnership. I love that picture that you had come up, and it's a great example of the fact that this is a win-win for both organizations as well as our students. We are the #1 transfer institution. We have more students that transfer from OCC to OU than any other community college in the state of Michigan. And that is one of the reasons why we have such a close partnership with Oakland University. They absolutely love our students, and because they are so prepared, they know that when OCC students come to OU, they're more likely to be successful and graduate. And so they work really hard at OU to create these seamless transitions, these seamless transfer partnerships between the two schools. And there's a lot of students that take advantage of coming to OCC, receiving their associate's degree, and then seamlessly transferring to OU. But this most recent announcement is really sort of, in my mind, like the cherry on top of the sundae. It takes things a step further, which allows our students at OCC who are looking for that campus experience to live on OU's campus. So they have the best of both worlds. They have the quality education at a fraction of the cost, maybe even free, by attending OCC. But then they also have the ability to live at Oakland University's dorms, and they have the ability to enjoy all of the amazing activities that are happening at OU, enjoy the facilities, utilize the facilities, and they're practically across the street from our Auburn Hills campus. So we're really excited about this. The demand has been pretty good. We just announced it maybe a couple months ago, and we anticipate for the fall, which is really a pilot, we anticipate probably 70 students to take advantage of this opportunity. And I think that it's going to grow from there. Nice. So we're really very excited.
Nice. And that's what you want. You want students to take advantage of it. You want to see it. That was a great turnout. People enjoy it. And the transition is just that much easier. And that's just proven success right there. So I would 100% agree. As a former undergrad college student living on campus, I already know how that enhances your college experience in general. But with us right here live on The Splash, we have Chancellor for Oakland Community College, Peter Provenzano Jr., just talking about the partnership with Oakland University, college debt relief, and things of that nature overall. So how do you see programs like the Michigan Reconnect program that you mentioned, as well as that new community college guarantee? How do you see that actually helping and enhancing and transforming the lives of adults who are going back to school?
We're seeing it transform the lives of adults already. So Michigan Reconnect was announced back in 2001, like February of 2001. We've seen over 5,000 students come to OCC to get back on their educational journey. So they may have stopped out, life happens, and they decided to come back to OCC to obtain their degree, credential, certificate. And these free tuition programs, I think, are going a long way to encourage students to come back. And I think it's also creating awareness, and interviews like this creates awareness, because I have students come to me all the time at all ages, and as they get a little bit older, and I'm talking even 25 years old, 30 years old, they falsely believe that it's too late for them to come back to school, that their time has passed. And that there's nothing further from the truth. It's never too late to come back to school. And these programs and this awareness about community colleges, I think, are helping those adult students recognize that they can come back to school. And they're a little bit intimidated, because many times they have families, they're raising their families, they're working full time, and life can be complicated. It can be very difficult to go to school while you're raising a family and working full time. But the thing that I want people in the community to know is that's what OCC specializes in. We're very different than a typical university where our typical student is working full-time. Over 75% of our students work full-time and attend school. So this is what we specialize in. Our instructors know that. We understand that we need to be more flexible to provide the right student support for our students so that they can complete and succeed. In fact, our instructors, one of the things I tell people all the time is our instructors, because we're not a research university, our instructors are at OCC because they love to teach. They love students. And I think that really shows in the classroom. And so we encourage students, especially our adult students, to get to know your instructor, communicate with them on a regular basis, take advantage of all of the support services that we have. We have counseling and advising to help you with class scheduling and mental health. But also we have tutors, free tutoring services available, and an academic support center at our campuses, as well as our online campus, to take advantage of. So it's never too late to get back to come back to school, and you're never too old to come to OCC.
Yes, yes. I'm so glad that you painted that picture and talked about that, because it is a challenge kind of returning back to school, especially after you've taken a break, especially after you may have went to school in one decade and then you're in a completely different decade. Mindset is different, technology is different. So I completely understand that. And I want to kind of get into that a little bit more, if you don't mind. You spoke about flexibility that Oakland Community College has, and adult learners and returning to school and things of that nature. Can you just speak a little bit more into the flexibility that Oakland Community College has for your adult learners, especially in the sense of the different challenges that they have faced as adults now returning back to school?
Well, when you talk about flexibility, the one thing that we hear from, especially really all of our students, but especially our adult learners, is they love our online campus, our online classes that we offer.
There you go.
The demand for these have been so great that over 50% of our classes are actually offered online now, and it's growing. And our students love that flexibility. And what do I mean by that? As I mentioned, 75% of them are working full-time. And so there may not be a class that's being offered at the time that they may be able to attend that class. But with the online classes, they might be able to take that class on a Saturday or a Sunday or in the evening. They might work the night shift, right, or the day shift. And so they love the flexibility of those online classes as well as the online services. You have access to all of the services that we have available to our students on the campus. They're also available online. And so students love that flexibility. And what we're seeing is that there are students that take classes. Their classes are 100% online, some that are 100% in person, just based on their needs and their desire and what works for their schedule and their learning. But the vast majority of our students, like 80% of our students, take a combination of both in person and online because they're able to tailor a class schedule that meets their needs, right? So what do I mean by that? Oftentimes students might want to take a science class or a more difficult math class in person, but their English class, maybe, they're really strong in English and they're happy with an online English class. And so they mix and match these, which really helps provide the flexibility that they need to succeed and to take more classes. And that's key because the more classes students take, the faster they finish. And like anything in life, the faster you finish, the more likely it is that you will finish. And we really believe that this flexibility is key to the future of our residents.
And I love that. I love that. I love that that's all being considered also, especially for our adults right here in Oakland County. We appreciate your time. Before we let you go, Chancellor, any last words, messages for the community in regards to any of your programs or what you have going on at Oakland Community College?
We continue to invest in our online campuses as well as our physical campuses. We have a brand new Culinary Institute that's coming to Royal Oak, 78,000 square feet. Super excited about that. A brand new renovation we're doing at our Farmington Hills campus for health sciences. So all of our nursing and all of the health sciences will be in one location, and they'll be practicing in a hospital type environment. And then public safety, huge demand for public safety training. We're expanding that. In fact, what I always like to say is when you call 911 in Oakland County, chances are that either the dispatcher, the EMS that respond, firefighter, police officer, maybe the nurse in the hospital, they were all trained by OCC. So with all of the free tuition that's available out there, there's never been a better time to go back to school and come to OCC.
Hey, I love that so much. Take pride in that, man. I love it so much. We appreciate your time and your information again. Once again, from Oakland Community College, Chancellor Peter Provenzano, we appreciate your time, sir.
Appreciate you.
A lot of great information talking about resources that are available for any adults or even students leaving high school, transitioning to college, who are looking to go back to school and continue their education, including debt relief for schools as well as possible housing for you. So find out more information about what Oakland Community College has going on, oaklandcc.edu for more information. Now, as we are continuously talking about transitioning into college, transitioning to high school, things of that nature, going back to school in general, there's a lot of moving parts specifically right here in West Bloomfield School District with the changes in elementary schools consolidating from 4 to 5, Roosevelt closing. There's a lot going on and a lot of emotions involved. So with us right here live on The Splash to give a little bit more details about emotions and how we can deal with those, we actually have owner and licensed clinical psychologist from Viewpoint Psychology and Wellness, Dr. Melanie Schwartz. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So as the summer is ending, we're all preparing to get back to school, parents and kids. What tips do you have for helping the kids transition from a very relaxed summer schedule to the structure of a school year?
Well, I always recommend starting a couple weeks early, if you can, because it is an adjustment. You're going from, like you said, a very relaxed period of time, 3 months, going into a very structured, chaotic time, because the school year is, has all the extracurricular activities, plus school, plus everything else, parents getting their kids every which way. It becomes very chaotic for everybody. So if you can start a couple weeks early, start getting the kids to bed early, start, getting them a little bit more on their school structure, making sure they're ready for school, start talking about, getting school supplies, start talking about, what they want to take in their lunches, start talking about what time extracurricular activities are going to begin, when they're going to begin. Usually they get a couple weeks in there before that starts, but not always. Sometimes it's right away. And, preparing the kids as much as you can, because the more information they have, the less anxiety that they're going to have going into the school year.
Good point. Yeah, so like we said, just start off a little bit early with the routine that you're going to go into with the school year, right? Just to make it a little bit easier. Yes, it'll still be the summer. Yes, they don't have to necessarily wake up for school, but still get them on that sleep schedule. Still put them on that strict time schedule so that they can actually get used to that. Completely understand that. So like we mentioned before, the changes, I should say, in West Bloomfield School District, consolidating from 5 elementary schools to 4, Roosevelt closing. A lot of kids are going to be split up from friends, possibly teachers, or even just the environment that they are used to. So what should West Bloomfield parents be doing to help prepare for a potentially completely different situation from a few months ago?
Well, change is scary, but change can also be very good. So letting the kids know and empathizing with them that, yes, this is a big change. It might be a little scary. Everything's going to be okay. They're going to make new friends. They're going to get comfortable in their new environment. Talk to them about what they're afraid of, and sit there and listen to them, and just let them sit there with their fears a little bit. It's okay for them to be scared. That's very normal right now. You don't have to fix it for them. Okay, you just have to sit there and listen to them and just say, okay. And if you have some ideas to, for some solutions to some of their concerns, then feel free to talk to them about it. But it's also okay to say, like, yes, this is a very scary situation to go from what you're used to something new, but also it can be a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Ooh, I love that perspective first and foremost. But that's a scary thing for parents to let your child face their fears ultimately.
Yes.
But on the other side of that, for anybody, on the other side of your fear, it's success, it's greater things, it's elevation, and things of that development. So I get that. I get that. And thank you for adding that. And with us right here live on The Splash from Viewpoint Psychology and Wellness owner and licensed clinical psychologist, Dr. Melanie Schwartz, talking about how we can prepare ourselves and our children for the transition going back to school. Now, we talked about going from the summer to the school year, changing schools in some sort. Now, let's talk about going to school for the very first time. What are some effective strategies that parents can use to prepare their young children who are going to school for the first time to help ease that separation anxiety?
Talk about how exciting it is. Okay, all the fun things that they're going to get to do at school. Because, of course, the kids are going to be scared. It's something they've never done before. It's brand new. And that's for anything. If you're going from, no school to kindergarten, if you're going from preschool to kindergarten, if you're going from elementary to middle to high to college.
Right.
Of course, there's going to be anticipation anxiety because they don't know what to expect. And that's, again, just very normal. But let's talk about how exciting it is, and all of the changes that are going to come are good changes. This is all good stuff for everybody. And, the kids will be able to see it once they get in and they see what school is all about and what the new environment is all about. And it's great for them. But until then, try to focus on the positives. They're going to be focused on the negatives, not seeing mom or dad or their siblings, 24/7. It's a different environment. It might be a little easier if they're not the first child going to school. If they've seen their siblings go, then, the siblings I'm sure are talking about it and how much fun it is. Then you can also use, you'll be at school with your siblings, which is also a fun thing. So there's a lot of different aspects and ways you can approach it, but try to focus on the positive, because they're going to be focused on what they're afraid of, and the negatives, not necessarily the excitement of.
Exactly. No, you landed that plane perfectly right there. Now, that's one side of the coin with that situation. I want to look at the other side, the actual parents. Parents can get separation anxiety too. We've actually had some educators on the show who talked about parents dropping their kids off and crying as they're dropping their children off. How can parents deal with the separation anxiety?
They need to stay busy. Parents need to stay busy, because it's when they've had their children 24/7 and now they're losing that control. It can be a very difficult separation for them. So plan things out to stay busy. Things you've wanted to do, how you're going to maintain your days if your kids are at school or one kid's going to school. Just don't sit there and think about it too much, because your kid's having a great time. Okay, even if it's a little bit of a struggle at first, they're going to get past that. They're going to move on. But if you're sitting there and you're thinking, that's the worst thing you can do. You need to be able to keep your mind busy and focus on other things that you want to be doing, or things that you have to do, responsibilities. But sitting there and thinking about it is I always say, thinking sometimes can be not good for you.
Oh, yeah, thinking, you'll run your mind crazy, just thinking about all the different things, that you can't control at the time. Yes, just keep yourself busy. So, and join us right here on the Splash Live, just talking a little bit more, preparing ourselves mentally and emotionally for that transition going back to school. We have Dr. Melanie Shorts from Viewpoint Psychology and Wellness. Is it the same for parents and for students going from high school to college? I mean, as far as dealing with separation anxiety, because some students could leave high school in the town that they're used to and go to college, and they could be excited at first, but then when they get there, something completely different. Or same thing with parents. Once you're becoming an empty nester, how are those things handled also from your perspective?
I think, for kids going to college, and I this is one of my favorite populations that I work with, and again, it's really just the anticipation anxiety, and it's still handled the same way of, all the exciting pieces of moving away for the first time and living on your own and making new friends and all the fun things that college brings. But at the same time, it's okay to have that anxiety, because you don't know what you're walking into. Okay. So again, be empathetic to them, talk to them about their fears. It is really very similar from the child perspective of what you're going to do. And, let them sit there with their fears. It's okay. They're not going to know till they get there and they make their friends. A lot of us have been there. It is a very scary thing. I remember my first day, or my first, summer before going to college. It's scary. It is. You don't know. You're used to the comfort of your home, and now you're leaving and going to be on your own. And a lot of them, their feelings are, this is my first time as an adult. And I always say to them, yes, it is. Yes, it is. But this is a good thing. And it's kind of like a soft launch into adulthood. So, you still have some comforts from your parents are still there for you if you need them. They're still, there to support you in any way that you need. So just utilize them. You're not completely on your own. Okay.
Exactly.
From the parent perspective, it's the same thing, this empty nest thing. My sister-in-law is about to become an empty nester, and they just planned a trip immediately after their youngest goes off to college, because that's how they're going to handle it. And I think that was probably one of the best things they could have done, to not have, to focus on sitting there and wondering how their son is handling his first few weeks at college. So better they went and they're doing their own thing and enjoying their time. Again, it goes back to really, how are you going to live your life without kids in the home? It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And what do you want this part of your life to look like? It is a transition. It is, one that takes a little time to get used to, and figuring out the next steps. Even if you do have one child still at home, it still looks different, because for 18 years you've had two children at home, or 3 children, whatever it is. And so it looks different, but there's an adjustment period. It's still an exciting time, and everybody adjusts to what this new life looks like for them.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts, a lot of moving emotions, but overall, it's growth. We're gonna experience growing pains, but like we said, it's a little bit on the student side, the kids, as well as the parents. We all have to essentially deal with it. And I know with our population here in the Greater West Bloomfield area, we have a lot of parents who are getting into that empty nester stage, as we just showed a lot of our class of 2024 graduating from West Bloomfield High School. So we appreciate your perspective, your answers, your professionalism, expertise, any additional information that you want to give the community before we let you go.
Absolutely. You know, all of this is normal. Change is normal. Transitions are normal. Anticipation anxiety is normal. However, if you're noticing that things are a little more complicated than that, there's a more complicated level of anxiety or some depression that's creeping in, then seek out some help from a therapist, from family, from the schools, wherever you can seek support, because it is a transition, and sometimes transitions are a little harder for some people than others. So make sure that you get the support that you need. Well said, well said. And we appreciate that again. Thank you from Viewpoint Psychology and Wellness owner and licensed clinical psychologist, Dr. Melanie Schwartz. We appreciate your information again.
Of course.
Absolutely. And like we said, there's a lot going on when it comes to going back to school, getting back to your routine, sleep schedules in general, emotions, and that's why that's all great information. So we want to thank Dr. Schwartz again for that. But we have so much more to talk about, as we have a lot moving right here in our Greater West Bloomfield area. Right now we are live, local, social. It's The Splash live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Bringing you stories and memories from West Bloomfield. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Hi, I'm Laura Nazuri, the Park Naturalist Supervisor for West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations to you, Civic Center TV, for hitting 1 million views on YouTube. We really appreciate your partnership in spreading nature education in a creative way in our community. I'm Laura Nazuri, proud to be 1 in a million.
Missed one of our live broadcasts or one of your local municipal meetings? Check it out online at civiccentertv.com. Every meeting, show, and interview on demand. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social. It's The Splash live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Kevin McIntosh. Now, Oakland County wants to keep you in the know about the mosquitoes. Yes, Public Health Oakland is urging local residents to take precaution against mosquitoes after 3 birds in Oakland County's first mosquito pool of the year tested positive for West Nile virus. Now, what they're actually saying, quote, "These test results mean that West Nile virus is present in Oakland County, and the best way to prevent getting diseases spread by mosquitoes is to avoid being bitten," end quote. That was said by Leanne Stafford, Oakland County's Director of Health and Human Services. Now, where it might seem easier said than done, they do have a few preventative tips that can be found on oakgov.com/health, or you can go directly to their Facebook at Public Health OC. Great information for us all to know, and make sure you tell someone else in regards to mosquitoes and the West Nile virus disease potentially. If you are a canine lover, canine and canine lovers should join Drinks with Dogs at the Library Pub. That'll be Tuesday, August 20th. Every year they host different events throughout the summer at dog-friendly venues, and it's open and free to the public for leash-friendly dogs. So, like we said, August 20th, Tuesday, Library Pub, West Bloomfield. Make sure you check them out. Find out more, k9to5.com for more information. And we love to keep you updated with everything happening right here at Greater West Bloomfield. We are the source for what moves around in our community. We are always live, local, social. It is The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.